Oh boy, I really like this show, and I really like these characters. They're great. Oh boy, wouldn't it be so cute if this character was dating that character, huh? Wouldn't that be fun? Okay, so I'm aware of the minefield I'm approaching with this topic, but this is something I still think deserves to be talked about. Shipping is nothing new with any sort of fandom, but RWBY's fans have shown to be extra ravenous about their ships. If you go onto Reddit or something, you'll find plenty of posts and fan art about various ships. Now to be clear, I don't think this is a bad thing. Shipping is purely something done for fun. It's a fun topic and you're allowed to have fun in your own way, no matter other people's opinions. On that note, however, I do feel like I need to bring something up. Now, in all my videos, I encourage you to comment your various thoughts and opinions on the topic at hand, and that's no different this time. However, I ask that everyone tries to be reasonable and understanding. I won't tolerate any form of bullying or hate speech in my comments. You all don't have to agree with each other, but let's try not to be savages, okay? Alright, with that being said, let's dive into this. RWBY is a show about a bunch of friends going on a big adventure to save the world. Or at least, that's the idea. The validity of the kids' friendships is a little more than eyebrow-raising. Has Yang ever talked to Ren? Did Pyrrha ever have a conversation with Blake? Hell, how often has RWBY had a conversation with Blake? It's no secret that the characters in the show are friends in writing only. The problem starts to arise when we realize we don't know how these kids act around their friends versus the people they want to date. Are all these flirty looks Yang is giving Blake because they're friends, or because she's romantically interested? The fact that the kids don't even bother to talk to the people that they call friends means any real interaction between characters feels more intimate, more important. This is why Blake has so many ships in the fandom. Her story has her regularly talking to a lot of different characters, but when it comes to people who could be classified as friends, she never even looks at them. This tendency to treat friends like acquaintances means it's hard to gauge the characters' real feelings towards each other. Friendship and relationship looks almost indistinguishable. On that note, Roosterteeth for some reason seems fucking terrified at the idea of confirming or denying any relationship for the show. Aside from people who are married and have children, all other relationships in the show are oddly vague. Ren and Nora. Are they dating? When did it happen? I don't know. Nora's been drooling over Ren since their introduction, and after the kerfuffle at Kuroyuri, they held hands on the airship. I thought this was implying the two were starting to date. Except I'm not really sure. During Volume 5, the two don't act any different than they did before. In Volume 6's opening, Nora's hanging off of Ren like they're dating, and she calls him but it's all one-sided towards Nora. Ren doesn't do or say anything that implies he has any romantic feelings towards her. In Volume 7, they kiss for the first time, but I'm still not sure what's happening with them. Were they dating before this? Are they dating now? They don't even bring it up after this kiss, so what's the issue isn't just something Ren and Nora have. Bumblebee suffers from this in spades. At the end of Volume 6, everything seemed coded to imply the two had romantic feelings for each other. Saucy looks, holding hands, but in Volume 7, nothing happened. They give each other looks all the time, and they spend all their time together, but is it because they're dating, or are they just growing closer as friends? Even the characters in the show don't know what's going on with Blake and Yang.
At least they're back to being friends.
Friends, huh? Just friends? Two people who've gone through that much? I think there's more going on.
I wonder if, after the events of Volume 6's finale, and then that massive uproar of anti-Bumblebee shippers got upset, Roosterteeth decided to sort of backpedal and keep it ambiguous. This isn't a good answer. It's their story. Let them write it the way they want. And if it happens that canonically Blake and Yang start dating, then that's fine. Just because it's canon doesn't mean you have to like it. Naruto married Hinata, but if you still ship him with Sakura, you can. Shipping can just be your fun headcanons, after all. But RT's lack of conviction with confirming it in the show is hurting the narrative for our characters. Blake and Yang aren't growing. They're stuck stagnating in this question mark of their relationship/friendship. All this does is lead to more internet arguments trying to use any little piece of evidence to prove their ship is the real one. We shouldn't be wasting time trying to figure out if this is a real ship or not. They should just confirm it in the show. This way the characters can grow. If they are dating, let's see them develop as a relationship. And that goes for Bumblebee or Ren and Nora or any other relationship in the show. If they start dating, let us know, and then let's see how they continue forward once they start dating. Do they get into any dating troubles? Is there anything that happens with their relationship that changes? What if they break up? How is that going to affect their relationships, their characters? And if they're not dating, just confirm it and tell us that, so then we don't have to waste our time speculating on all these things, trying to find these little bits and pieces to, confirm, look, they looked at each other this way, that means they're dating. That's not what we should be worrying about in the show. If they're not dating, tell us. If they have no interest in dating, tell us. If they are dating, tell us. Just tell us what's going on. Something that pops up about the legitimacy of a ship is whether or not a character in question is actually any certain sexual orientation. This is not important to know. Like I mentioned earlier, you're allowed to headcanon whatever you want, regardless of what the show implies. If you think that a character is straight, or that a character is gay, that's fine. Some people got in a tizzy when Yang and Blake started showing interests in each other, claiming that they've only ever shown interests in boys beforehand. And on one hand, that's true, but it also doesn't matter. The main characters of RWBY are all still pretty young. A lot of people don't realize what their sexual orientation is until they're a bit older, and sometimes it can take a person into their 30s or 40s or even older than that to finally open up about it. Just because a character may initially seem to be a certain orientation, it doesn't mean we were being shown the whole picture. Another thing is, a lot of what we perceive to be these characters' orientations is based solely off of what's implied in the show. None of the characters have openly stated what their sexuality is, and that's okay. The show is about kids fighting an evil witch, and magical ladies, and ancient relics, and trying to save the world, and running for their lives. There's not a lot of opportunity for the characters to sit down and just talk about their crushes. I can't help but think that it'll come across as really forced. You've worked with the team before, right? That was a long time ago. I'm gay. Of course, there are ways to bring this up. Ilya's confession is a great example, but as far as the plot is concerned, the characters' sexual orientation isn't important to know. Salem doesn't give a shit if RWBY likes boys or girls. However, the important thing to keep in mind, and a big reason these topics get so heated in the community, is that LGBTQ+ is still a minority. It's a fact, characters tend to usually lean towards being straight over LGBTQ+. So if a character does fall into that category, it's natural for people to want to see it highlighted more. They never get to see it otherwise. For the plot, the characters don't need to spell out their sexual orientations to each other and the audience. Rather, let them be a character first and an orientation second. And if a character's orientation does get discussed, it should be incidental as to how we're meant to perceive that character. Knowing a character's sexuality can help flesh out that character's specific story, but it shouldn't be the only thing driving that character forward. Enter Saffron and Tara. The two got some flack from the community because their relationship is the beginning and end of their characters. Tara especially. It gives the impression that they're only here to offer some diversity, or to be a figurehead of being inclusive. Making me wonder if RT included them just because people kept asking for a homosexual relationship. Having LGBT+ characters and representation in the show is great, and Roosterteeth has always been inclusive with representing diversity in their shows. But a character's sexuality can't always get brought up naturally while telling a larger story. A character, like real people, should be more than a sexuality. Fortunately, RT usually does a good job avoiding this, but this ambiguous way of going about the characters' sexuality can and has led to confusion from the fans. I'm glad they don't resort to stereotypes to represent a character's orientation, and I'm glad they don't feel the need to have the cast sit down and tell each other how diverse they are in their choice of partners. This, unfortunately, means some audience members are left confused on some cast members' sexuality. RT prefers to show and not tell when it comes to LGBT representation. We know Yang is interested in a woman, but we don't know if she's bi, pan, a lesbian, or only just learning to get over her compulsive heterosexuality, or any other label she may identify with. Because RWBY doesn't explicitly note its characters as orientations, it can be difficult to tell what is even canonically possible as a ship. Perhaps we should just accept our characters for who they are, regardless of who they want to date. Rose Garden. 2 words that can send a comment section into the pits of hell. Rose Garden, or shipping Oscar and RWBY, is an extremely divisive topic in the community due to the confusing relationship between Oscar and Ozpin. To be clear, I like Rose Garden. I think they would be very cute together, but the argument against it is Ozpin's in Oscar's head. That would make him a pedophile! The idea that Roosterteeth would write Oz to be an actual pervert creeping on RWBY is absolutely ridiculous. There's no way they would write that. The honestly confusing matter of Oz being in Oscar's head does bring up a lot of question marks when it comes to their characters. Will Oz, absorb Oscar's consciousness? I don't think so. Otherwise, I would assume it would be Ozma inside of Oscar. I think what's supposed to happen is Oscar and Oz will kind of merge into one. Oscar's already starting to adopt some of Oz's old mannerisms. I assume it'll be Oscar, but with some Ozpin flair to him. Also, if I thought Oz would take over Oscar's body entirely, I wouldn't be shipping Rose Garden. Another point about the ship that people use as an argument is their difference in age. RWBY is 2 to 3 years older than Oscar. By Volume 7, she's about 17, and Oscar is 14, 15. So that means RWBY will be 18 soon, and if they start dating, that means RWBY is dating a minor. And then some people start to throw around this idea of statutory rape. I can't believe I actually have to say this, but Roosterteeth isn't going to write that. To assume that the characters are dating, that means they absolutely have to have sex, is bafflingly dumb. Is it that hard to believe RWBY couldn't just wait a couple years for them both to be over 18? This actually is a portion of a slightly larger issue. The idea that, for the characters to actually be dating, they need to kiss on screen. If they don't kiss, that means they're not really in love. That's how it works in all the movies, right? That's how it has to work all the time. Needing to show physical attraction to prove your relationship is just juvenile thinking. And to assume RWBY would write a character to cross the line when it comes to age differences is asinine. I bring this up because I want to point out how the community seems to see shipping as an argument to be had. If I like ship A and you like ship B, rather than accept our differences and keep going with our lives, we have to fight about it. Throwing any and all crazy reasoning as to why a ship is wrong, and I really do mean any sort of reasoning. Rose Garden is bad because it could make Ozpin a pedophile. RWBY can't date Oscar, she'd be grooming a minor. Bumblebee is only a thing because Aaron and Barbara shipped it and then forced the writers to make it happen. The writers are just pandering to insert any ship name here. The only reason Bumblebee is happening is because RT wanted a gay couple. Clover died because of queer baiting. Clover's death would have been fine if he was straight. Insert any voice actor here is just trying to bait a toxic side of the fandom. Shipping is supposed to be fun. I like the idea of this character dating that character. Even if it's not confirmed in the show, even if their sexuality isn't confirmed, even if you could think of 1,000 stupid excuses as to why it's a shit ship, I'm just trying to have fun. The vitriol and toxicity of the shipping conversations for RWBY is insane. It does not deserve to cause such ire for the community, especially since it's an entirely supplemental part of the show. Whether Blake dates Yang, or Sun, or Ilya, or whoever the fuck, it doesn't matter. It's a minor element in the long run of the show. Why turn it into a war zone filled with so much hate? It's just fun. I like the idea of that cartoon character holding hands with that cartoon character. Stop screaming at me for fuck's sake. And stop screaming at each other. Rather than spending so much time trying to fight each other over my ship is a better one, your ship is a shitty one, let's just enjoy the ships we have. Have fun with each other. That's the fun part. It's just supposed to be for fun. Now, since this whole video has been about sort of broad topics when it comes to ships, I want to touch on my own personal hot takes for the show. I'm encouraging you to share your thoughts and opinions of your ships of choice, so I figure it's only fair to throw my hat in the ring too. I like the fact that Blake has so many ships, because she's based off of Beauty from Beauty and the Beast, so I feel like it's fitting so many people would find her attractive. I'm fine with Bumblebee, it's not my favorite or anything, but whatever. My biggest problem with it is I think it should have gotten better setup. But on that note, I'm also pretty blasé about Black Sun. And Reading Rainbow. Really, I don't like a lot of Blake's ships because I don't like Blake. I feel like Blake and Adam probably had some romantic feelings for each other, though I don't think they ever actually dated or anything. It's Ilya's line of,
But I guess back then you were just too busy falling for Adam to notice.
I think it means at least Blake was crushing on Adam. And then Adam's line of,
Hello, my darling.
Darling is an awfully romantically charged pet name, and the way he says it implies he's probably called her this regularly. Though Adam is also obviously rather manipulative and abusive, so I wonder if he actually was in love with her, or did he just know she was interested in him and played into it to convince her to stick around with him. I wish Shang was more flirty, but I also get the feeling she likes to look sexy for herself, not for anyone else. I never really liked Arcos. More of a White Knight shipper. I brought up the statutory rape thing with Rose Garden, but Weiss and Jean are also 2 years older than Ruby. But no one ever throws around these accusations when talking about White Rose or Lancaster. I do ship Rose Garden, but I also totally see Ruby and Oscar just being close friends. The same thing for Lancaster, though I tend to lean more towards the friendship direction than anything else. White Rose I feel is only a strong friendship, but it does get some of the cutest fan art. Though really I don't think Ruby would ever actually get married. I think Ruby would be more married to her job, too busy traveling everywhere and being a huntress to bother settling down. Lucky Charms is my favorite ship of all time, and I'm not sure why. I think they're just really adorable together, and even though Clover is dead, that doesn't mean we have to stop making fan art. Now, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there saying, I don't care about any of this. All I care about is the story and the fights, and you're not wrong. While characters growing new relationships can help develop these characters, that's not the only way they can grow. Shipping is just for fun. So let's try to be civil and have some fun with the show, huh? Big shout out to my $10 patrons, Cool Duck, Andrew, James Dodds, Ramiel, and Romulus. You're all awesome. You're all really great people. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I do have a Patreon if you want to help support me. You can vote on video topics. This one was a topic voted on by my patrons. Doesn't matter which tier you are, you can still have the chance to vote, so go ahead and do that if you want. And I want to hear, just like I said, your thoughts and opinions on everything I talked about in the comments below. Do you hate me now and disagree with everything I said? What's your favorite ship? What's your least favorite ship? That's something I don't really think about that kind of thing, but in case that's something you want to talk about. Yeah, any and all thoughts? How do you think about shipping is handled in the show? Any and all thoughts, I want to hear them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.